Hey everybody, welcome to the Art in a Snap Facebook group. My name is Amanda Schmidt and today we're doing a Happy Mail tutorial. And if you're new to this series, I'm doing it only over here in the Art in a Snap Facebook group. The whole point of it is that, you know, with our social distancing and all the quarantine, I cannot say that word, quarantining and all that good important stuff. It's easy to feel really disconnected from somebody, and you know, I think it's important to be sending some happy mail. So I have a bunch of cards I'm sending out today, and this one's going to be one of them. And so let's get started. And this one's really easy. You might not think, if you're new to watercolor, you might look at that and go, oh, I don't know, Amanda, a whole jar and everything. But it's really easy and really fun. Let's get started. So as I've shared before, I'm using Strathmore watercolor cards, and they come with envelopes, and they're really awesome. So what I do is I just tape it down on a piece of foam board or cardboard or just anything that's stiff that will keep your paper from warping. Is perfect. So yeah, I'm not going to pre-draw anything. All my lines and stuff here I added later. At one point I might have to pause and dry it with my heat gun real quick, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so pop on and say hi, and I will be happy to answer any questions or anything like that. Okay, so let's get going. So I'm going to do this in a couple of layers, especially for the flowers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you might be able to even see, I layered some pink on top of yellow. And with watercolor, it is a really neat way to use them is to do layers of color. So it's kind of, I compare it to like sheer curtains kind of laying or getting layered in front of each other. It's kind of like that because watercolor is very translucent. And so that's what's one really fun thing about it, is that you can kind of layer, and it just has such a different feel than acrylics or oils. So although if you do those, then more power to you, especially oils. I've not tried oils at all. All right, so I'm going to lay out just a few, 3, maybe 4 flowers. And the way I do that, I'm just going to pick a point. I'm not even going to draw. And I'm going to make my petals go out from there. And to do that, I do the point, push, pull method is what I call it. So I filled up my paintbrush with some yellow paint, and I'm going to point to the center of wherever my flower is going to be, and I'm going to push and then pull for my petal. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. I have it kind of at an angle today for a reason. If you need to go back in and kind of move the paint around, you can. I'm getting a little bit of the yellow, and let me make this not quite as bright. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So point, push, and then I'm pulling my brush away. Okay, and it might look light, and that's okay. Actually, the lighter the better. In this case, I think it looks nice. Just looks really really soft and pretty. So then I'm going to do a few more. So point, push, pull. And if some turn out darker than others, that's okay. Point, push, pull, and then point, push, pull. Okay, so there's one flower. I'm going to leave that be. And I'm going to go grab some more yellow. And any yellow. You could use any yellow if you're doing it the same way I am. So I'm going to say my next flower is going to be here. And it's facing this way. Like this one's facing that way, and this one's facing this way. So let's do point, push, pull, point, push, pull, and then just do, you don't have to do the same amount of petals on each one. You can change it up. Totally fine. And then let's do one more. We don't want to make it too complicated. So my yellow. Okay, so that should be really a very light yellow. And if you want to, you can kind of come in and grab some of this. If you feel like there's too many puddles, you could, if you wanted to, kind of grab some of that, the extra paint. But honestly, it's going to look cool even if you leave it there. Okay, so now I am going to add in the head, the center of my flowers and my stems. So let's grab some, I need some a brownish of some kind. Let's do, I have some burnt sienna right here in my palette that I can use. So I'm just using the tippy tip. And basically I'm going to make a gumdrop shape right here in the center of my flower, or where the center would be. So basically an upside down U, and then make my gumdrop shape. So these are kind of like Black-Eyed Susans, or what else are they called? Black-Eyed Susans, sort of like daisies, I guess they could be. Some kind of springy flower or summery flower. And there's my gumdrops. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up, I have just a little bit of green and some of that burnt sienna. I'm going to mix together to make a not super bright green, but not brown color to do the stems. So I'm going to make those really, really light and kind of understated. So, famous last words, right? Doing this live, it may not be. So I'm just going to kind of pull in my stems, okay? Now for our leaves, you can make them, you can either leave them out, you don't have to put leaves, or you can just make real loose leaves, or you can use the point, push, pull with the green and do them that way, okay? So I'm gonna do kind of a loose point, push, pull leaf, okay? You don't have to be going any certain way. They can just be like there, because you know they would have some green. Green leaves somewhere. This is really loose. This does not have to be a tight, you know, design, okay? So let's do this. I'm going to dry this really fast, and then I'm going to show you the first step for the jar. We'll come back to the flowers here in a second, but we're going to go back and add some of our jar stuff first. Okay, so here's my favorite part of the design, okay? So we're gonna go in and add our jar, okay? So I'm gonna pick up some blue. Let's see, where do I wanna use? I have some blue right here. And you can mix a little bit to make more of a turquoise if you want. Sometimes I like to do that because, you know, I think of my mason jars, and sometimes there's a really pretty, like turquoisey color. So you could add a little bit of green to it if you wanted. Okay. So what we're going to do is kind of start thinking about the shape of our jar, okay? So first I'm going to start though at the rim of my jar, okay? So I'm going to kind of picture where my jar would be. It would pretty much be like, you know, the flowers are sticking out of the rim, and then the jar will come down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a few lines to kind of represent the jar lid. Okay, and then I'm going to, I still have plenty of paint on my brush. So then I'm going to come down, and as you can see, it's real light, and that's okay. Add the edges of my jar. Now, what I want to do though is kind of blend those in. So I'm going to wash off my brush and get it dry-ish, not too dry, and smooth out that paint that I just put on. And if it comes up with a line, it's okay. You know, with a jar, there are so many lines and shadows and highlights and, you know, reflections and stuff like that, that it is, it's going to look awesome no matter what, okay? So I'm going to add in a little bit more, and then I'm just going to kind of do some vertical loose lines, okay? You can add in a little bit more in the middle if you want. This is really a loose design. If you want to, you can go over your stems. Okay. All right, you know what? I'm happy with the jar so far, so I'm going to leave it, and then I'm going to come back up to my flowers, okay? So, like I said earlier, I'm going to be layering. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Expressive strokes. Yes, you know what? Watercolor is good at that, isn't it? Thank you. So I'm going to come in and add another layer of color to my flowers, okay? So I'm going to pick up a pink, and you know what? Today I'm going to go with opera pink. I don't know if you guys have seen my favorite opera pink in a while. It's this one, and that's the last of my opera pink. I need to order some more. I was just kind of refilling my my palette here, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the last little squirt of opera pink. I must like it. All right, so I'm going to make a very light puddle of pink, okay? Really sheer and light, okay? And then I'm just going to go over the same places I put the yellow before with the petals. So I'm going to do point, push, pull. And it doesn't have to be exactly on the yellow. It can be near-ish the yellow. And I might even add more water to make it even sheerer. You don't have to do every petal either. You know, this is a really loose, nice, I love doing these, okay? So now let's add a little bit more green to, or a little more color to our leaves. And you know what I think I might do? Let's take the same blue that I used here and give a layer of color to my leaves, okay? And just to add some, just an extra bit of color. And sometimes I like to do that. I'll bring in a color I've used somewhere else in as another layer, just to kind of tie things together. You don't even realize it's getting tied together, but it is. Okay. All right, let's stop there, okay? It's really hard to know when to stop, but I'm going to stop there and dry it because I'm going to add my details, or at least I'll start showing you the details. So give me just like 20 seconds, okay? All right, that should be good enough. So let me show you what we're going to do now. Excuse me. We're going to be adding all the little black, and you don't have to do the black details. I enjoy adding black details to my watercolor stuff, so you definitely don't have to. Let me show you though, one of the fun things I think about this one is the ball. So the mason jar brand is usually ball, or often is that that brand. So I like to add that to my jar. So what I'm going to do is take a colored pencil, sorry, can't see, and I'm going to lightly, now you could do this in pencil first if you wanted to, or make your, print something out and do that and make your own carbon paper, you know, and do that. But I'm going to just kind of freehand it today and just do, and it's really not, okay, so you can barely see that. Let me even make it a little bit closer so you can see. So I barely lightly added that lettering to my jar, okay? Now you could leave that as is, but what I like to do is when I do my details for my jar, so first of all, what I'll do is I'll kind of come in here and highlight some of those like little ridges for the jar lid. Okay, and like this side's hidden, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then what I did was I just added some black here and there just to make the letters kind of stand out, because you don't want a harsh outline, but you want to bring out the letters a little bit. Okay. And then I can come in over here to the side and add in my jar. And I like to kind of keep my lines kind of loose and moving. And then same for the flowers. So I'll come in, and what I like to do for the little center part of the flower is I will kind of go around one side, and then I'll add some like little lines like that. Or you can do dots, you can kind of do some stippling, but either way, we want to keep this pretty loose. So I like to just kind of throw in some lines where it feels like they should be. You know, they don't have to, it doesn't have to be an outline like a coloring book. But I like to add in just a little bit of the black outline. I feel like it makes all the colors kind of pop, you know, it kind of brings out colors and shapes too. It really brings out, you know, like the feel of the flowers and the leaves. Okay, and I'm just going to stop there. Like I said, it's hard to know when to stop. But you don't want to go overboard. So there we go. What do you think? I cannot wait to send this card. Oh, you know what? I realized I put it on the wrong side. Oh, well. Maybe it'll be my practice one. Anyway, regardless, somebody's going to enjoy getting a card with the mason jar flowers on it. So I am so glad to have been painting with you today. So stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you soon. If you have any questions, just let me know, and keep on painting. Bye.